Timeless tales, a modern moral, the apprentice whose pen ran dry. On the 17th floor of a building that did not yet have a name above the door, in a city that was always quietly building itself, there worked a young engineer called Ren. The office was small and clean and smelled faintly of coffee and warm electronics. The walls were the kind of gray that designers choose so the screens will glow. There were 8 desks. There were 2 windows. There was a kettle that boiled 3 times a day, on a schedule no one had agreed to but which everyone obeyed. The kettle on this particular afternoon had finished its 3 o'clock cycle 4 minutes earlier and was already cool. The light through the window was the kind of pale Wednesday gold that makes a room feel more present than it is. Ren had been there for 2 years. The work suited him. He wrote code for a system that helped doctors keep track of their patients, and the system was, by all accounts, getting better month by month. Ren wrote that code with a tool he and his colleagues simply called the pen. The pen listened to what Ren wanted, and the pen wrote it down, and most of the time the pen was right. Most days, that was enough.
Just have it write me the function that handles the appointment refresh. The one we did last sprint. Yeah, that style. Ship it.
It was an ordinary Wednesday afternoon. The window was open just a little. The deploy went out on schedule. The team did its stand-up. Ren took a long lunch and walked along the river and thought, as he often did, about almost nothing in particular, which, for an engineer 2 years into a job that paid well, is a kind of privilege. By 3 o'clock, he was back at his desk. By 3:15, the world was a different shape.
Wait, the pen, are you there? Try again. Why isn't it answering? Okay, I just need to remember what I asked it. What did I tell it last week when it wrote this? I told it to refresh appointments. That's all I told it.
There is a particular silence that arrives when a tool you have come to rely on stops working, and it is not the silence of nothing happening. It is the silence of a great deal happening, all of it inside your own head, none of it useful. Ren stared at his screen. The function he had shipped a week ago was open in front of him. It was 43 lines long. His name was on the commit. The tests passed. The deploy was green. And reading it, line by line, he found that he could not say with any honesty what most of those lines did. He had asked the pen for a function. The pen had given him a function. He had read enough of it to be sure it ran. He had not read enough of it to be sure he could fix it. He tried, in the way that a person tries to remember a face they once knew well, to reconstruct the function from the prompt he must have given. Refresh appointments. That had been the prompt. 3 words. The function in front of him was 43 lines, and at least 12 of those lines were doing things he had not asked for, and at least 2 of those things were almost certainly the reason the deploy was now broken. He could not have written this function from scratch in a morning. He understood this without having to admit it. He scrolled to the top. He read the imports. 3 of the libraries he had never opened. One of them was a date parsing helper he had not even known the codebase used. Scrolled back to the function body and sat very still. The cursor blinked at line 1. The cursor had been blinking, he realized, for almost a minute. He tried then to do the thing every engineer does in moments like this. He tried to read the code one more time as if he had written it himself slowly, as a stranger reading a stranger's letter. He got to line 4 and found that he was reading the words but not the meaning. The pen had used a pattern he had seen before but had never built. He could recognize it. He could not yet hold it. The phone on his desk lit up. Across the office, someone said his name. The world that had been simple at 3 o'clock was no longer simple at 3:22. Ren's hands were on the keyboard. They did not know where to go.
Ren appointment refresh is failing in production. Doctors are getting empty schedules. We need a fix in the next 10 minutes. Tell me you know what's wrong.
You don't need to tell anyone yet. Sit. Move over. Whose code is this?
Mine. The git blame says it's mine, but I don't know what it does.
Master Aero had been an engineer for 37 years. He had written his first program on a machine that had 32 kilobytes of memory and a single floppy drive, and he still wore the same wristwatch he had worn on the day he shipped his first system into a hospital that was still standing. He had been Ren's mentor since the first month. He came in at his own pace, which was slower than the rest of the offices, and he left at his own pace, which was the same. He had never raised his voice in the building, not once. Master Aero pulled a chair beside Ren's desk. He did not look at the screen, he looked at Ren. He waited until Ren had stopped trying to think faster than he was thinking, and then very slowly he asked Ren to read the first line of the function out loud, not to explain it, just to read it, then the second, then the third. By line 7, Ren was reading and beginning to understand. By line 15, he was saying things like, "Wait, that's wrong," and "No, that's actually fine." By line 28, his voice had changed. He sounded like someone who was no longer afraid of the thing in front of him. By line 40, the bug was visible. A single missing check, a single line that should have asked one question and was asking a different one. He had asked the pen the previous week to handle the edge case where a doctor's calendar had no upcoming appointments. The pen had handled it. Pen had also quietly changed the way the function checked for overlapping appointments. A change Ren had not asked for, had not noticed, and had not understood. The bug was at the intersection of those two changes. Eero pointed at it without saying anything. Ren saw it all at once. He saw too what the change had been doing for him, covering an edge case he had not even known to ask about, and what it had been quietly costing him. He saw both in the same second. Ren fixed it. He pushed the change. He watched the deploy go green. The doctors had their schedules back inside of 10 minutes. He sat back. His pulse had been a quiet noise in his ears for the last 20 minutes. It stopped all at once, and the office sounded very normal again.
The pen will be back tomorrow. The thing you just learned was here all along. It just needed a quiet afternoon to find you.
The pen returned the next morning, as the pen always did. Ren kept using it. He used it for the boilerplate and the syntax and the one-off scripts that no one would read again. He used it for the work that did not need to be his. But every line of code that bore his name in the commit log, every line that someone, somewhere 6 months from now, would have to read in an emergency, he now read aloud to himself before he shipped. It took him 6 minutes longer per pull request. He never stopped feeling those 6 minutes were the most important 6 minutes of his day. We live now in the age of the assistant. The tools that write for us code, prose, summaries, conclusions, have become so good and so quietly available that for most of us on most days, the question of whether we still know how to do the work ourselves has stopped feeling important. The assistant produces, we accept, the deploy is green, the document ships, the world appears to function. It is the day the assistant is unavailable that the question returns, and it returns with the force of a phone call from a doctor who needs an answer in 10 minutes. The mechanism is straightforward. A modern language model, trained on the entirety of public software, public writing, and public reasoning, has internalized more patterns than any one of us could read in a lifetime. When you ask it for a function, it gives you a function. When you ask it for an explanation, it gives you an explanation. The transaction is fast and frictionless, and has the texture of magic. What is easy to miss in the speed of that transaction is that the part of the work which produces understanding, the slow, recursive, often frustrating practice of reading a thing line by line until it stops being foreign, has been removed from the loop. The model did not remove it. We allowed it to be removed because the friction was unpleasant and the result, on most days, was indistinguishable. There is a particular kind of forgetting that follows. It is not the forgetting of a fact. It is the forgetting of a relationship. The relationship between you and the words on the page that bear your name. You did not write them. You also did not write them. They emerged from a transaction whose middle was hidden from you and whose middle is precisely where understanding lived. The page reads as yours. The git blame says it is yours. The understanding is somewhere else. This kind of forgetting is cumulative. It does not happen on the first day or the 10th or the 100th. It happens slowly, across the small choice repeated each time the assistant offers a result and we accept it without asking it to slow down. The choice feels weightless. There are dozens of them in a single afternoon. The cost is invisible until one day it is not. The day you cannot read your own work in the dark is not a day that announces itself. It is the day a doctor calls. The stakes are not that the assistant will be wrong. The stakes are that on the day it is unavailable, or on the day its answer is subtly wrong in a way only a careful reader would notice, you will not be the careful reader. You will be the person whose name is on the commit, who cannot say what most of the commit does. The model is not the adversary. The adversary is the part of yourself that prefers not to read the thing it just shipped. There is, however, a second adversary, and it is harder to name. It is the part of the world around us, the deadlines, the volumes, the sheer number of small decisions a working day asks us to make, that has come to assume quietly that the assistant is doing the reading. The assumption is rarely stated. It is built into the cadence of how teams now ship. To read aloud what was written for you is, in that environment, a small act of resistance. It is also the only act that keeps your name on the commit and your understanding in the same place. There is a 6-minute practice, available to anyone with an assistant and a quiet afternoon. It is the practice of reading aloud what was written for you before you call it yours. The pen is patient, it will wait. The work that you can hold in the dark when the screen goes black and the model is unreachable is the work that has truly become yours. That is what apprenticeship has always been. That is what apprenticeship still is.
Knowledge that survives an empty pen is the only knowledge that is truly yours. When the assistant writes for you, the prompt is yours and the words are not. Both are useful, but only the words you can read in the dark are yours to keep.